everybody. I just want to say hi. My name is Tete from Cheiss Designs, and I decided to start this tutorial with this type of video since we are going to learn how to make an illustration of your selfie having your Cricut, and I thought that this type of video is kind of cool because kind of like shows everything as an illustration, and you can see I thought it was kind of fun. So I have here the illustration that I'm gonna be showing you how I made it using Photoshop and a program that is called Krita. And let's start. Okay, there are two things that are very important to have in order to be able to draw and paint, and one of them is either a surface, which is what I have, or you may need a graphic tablet or an iPad or something like that, because the whole idea is that you need to be able to do this, and also to do that you need a pen like this one. These are the ideal pens, but you can also have a pen like this one. This one works fine, but it's just kind of hard to see, and for this one, for example, it doesn't work because the one that I have, which is this one, is for a surface specifically to work with Microsoft. So it depends what you have. I'm gonna post the links of both of them. This one works with an iPad, sorry, but there are also Apple pens that are ideal for an Apple if you're working with that. This is for a surface, and there are also Stylus pens that you can use, but for me, I have a surface, and then this is the pen that I use to draw and paint. And then the second part that you need to draw and paint using an electronic device, and for this tutorial we are gonna also be working with both programs. So one is Krita, which is this one that I have open right now, and the other one is Photoshop. Both have the same functionality. It's actually up to you which one fits better for you. For me, I kind of mix both of them depending on what I'm making or drawing, but I will show you both so you can have an idea how they both work. The options are big, so you have big different options that you can use and apply to your illustrations. I'm gonna show you the basics, at least to be successful in making something like this, which I thought was a cool idea, since we love our Cricuts, right? So and then another thing is that when you are drawing, you can either draw your image here, or you can draw your image on paper and then scan it and place it here just to do the painting part. It's up to you. These are the programs that we are gonna use. For Krita, I will leave the link below to download the program. It's free, and it has a lot of options that you can use. Of course, Photoshop has even more, so if you already know a little bit of Photoshop, so this could be a good opportunity to learn more about the different options that you can use in Photoshop to draw and paint. We need to create a new canvas, so we're gonna hit create new, and then we are going to select custom because we want it to be actually let's select this one, default Photoshop size, because I want it to be 300 pixels, and then let's make this one a little bit bigger, so we're gonna type 15 here and 10 here. That way, if we want to make the image really big, we have that option, and the pixels are gonna be still good. Okay, and this is the canvas that I'm gonna use.
So now we need the image or the picture that is going
now I need the image that I'm gonna be using as a reference. So you have to click on File and then Open and look for your image, which for this case will be the selfie. I have one that I'm gonna use this time.
This is the one I'm gonna create this time. Okay.
Here you
go. Now I want to place this one. Oops, sorry.
Now I'm gonna place this picture on the canvas that I already created, because I needed to see it at the same time and drawing.
Because I don't need the background,
I'm just gonna select this section that I need to use for my illustration, because I don't need the whole thing, especially if I'm not using the background. So I'm gonna copy and paste what I need.
and then
I'm just gonna move
this
image to an area that is not gonna be section where I'm gonna be drawing
to draw my illustration here. If you notice, this section
corresponds to different layers that Photoshop creates. If you're familiar with that, basically the one that is called background is low,
and you can see here that it's
so you have to start drawing using the layer number 1, and that's the one that we will be using to draw.
Which is a good thing with layers is that
and also the layers
if you are making
useful image, you are trying to create an image. It's gonna be cut through vinyl,
or just
so you have the different pieces
with vinyl, so we can create the layers for every single part of the illustration.
So if we check here on Krita, for example,
this image,
I have my illustration here, and you can see that there are different layers.
So this one is just for the hair.
And this one, for example, has the hair only. So if later I want to change the color, I don't need to do anything else with the rest. I just change the
layer
color.
Number 2 has
the layer 2 has the sketch that I made.
And then layer number 4 has the skin.
This one has the skin and part of the dress. And this one has the Cricut only.
And things like that. So when you're working with layers,
this will be what will be cut on vinyl if you want to do it later.
And we want to cut it to vinyl,
you will if you would like to learn how to do this, just leave a comment below and I will create a tutorial for that part specifically to show you how layers work
just leave me a comment below and
how they are placed on design space once you have the image ready.
Okay, so now here the next thing to do is select your pen or your pencil. So we're going to click here first, and then if you go here and you click on it, you can see all the different pens that Photoshop has. At least on Photoshop I like to use the number 10, which is called drawing box, Happy HB. But I can also use the pencil heart or yeah, those are kind of like the ones that I use the most. At least for sketching, let me see if I can do something here. I don't know how to like color, let's see. So I have the number 10, which is the Happy HB. You can see here how it's like. You can also use the Ultimate Pencil Heart. And then you can see that this is kind of ideal for sketching, which is the first step. The drawing illustration, so you can use the number 8 to create the sketching, and then the number 10, which is the bold color, to refine your image once you feel that it's ready to start working with your image. Basically, it's a very slow color, that's your face. Okay. So now if you are drawing Krita, Krita kind of create your brushes, preset history here in this area, and then I use the one that's called pencil 2. But there are different pencils that you can use. There's also one pencil, one heart. Let me just open it and you can see, so this is the number 1, and then this is the number 2. You can see this will be perfect for sketching, and this will be perfect for refining. And you can see it also here, and if you click there you can see all the different settings that you can apply with this pencil, and you can try it here and see how it works also. And you just click here to go back, and then if you want to see all the brushes, you click there again, and then there's, oops, sorry, here's the whole list of pens, and they also have a small view of how they look like. So you can see here there are more pencils here. This is pencil 3 large 40, but these two work perfect for sketching and refining an image. So those are the ones that I use. But this again is up to you. You can see that these are a little bit thick, but you just need to change the size here, and then it's going to look less thick. Perfect for fun here. And then if I go back to concealer, is this one. Then if I decrease the size, and I have it set for sketch. I'm gonna delete delete this now. I don't need it anymore. And now I can start I can start I can sketch. And again I'm using number 8 and number 10 for on Photoshop. Those are the ones that I figure out and the good ones for me to work on Photoshop, but I have one list here of ones that you can use also. Okay. So now when we start drawing, we kind of have to split the space by sections. So you kind of know that one section is going to have the face, the second section is going to have the body, and then the third one for this particular picture is going to have the Cricut. So you want to make sure that you are splitting those sections evenly, so the image is going to look according to that, which means that the face is not going to be bigger than the body, or the body is not going to be bigger, or the accessories, which are the Cricuts for this picture, are not going to be bigger either. They have to be according to this.
You're gonna see that this section of the video is being fast forward because I kind of wanted to save some time as the tutorial can be very long. The drawing part takes a little while until you get the results that you want in order to start painting. I will be more than happy to create a tutorial specifically for every single step for drawing. If you would like that, please leave a comment below and I will create a tutorial specifically for that. Also, the painting part is gonna be kind of a little bit fast, just to make the video a little bit short. To draw the face, it's helpful to kind of divide the whole thing in different sections, so you kind of know where to place or draw the eyes, nose, and mouth. Since this is a sketch, don't worry if the image is not looking exactly the way you want, because you will have a chance to make some adjustments and delete or add anything you want to. The sketch is basically to give you a reference before you get the fine drawing with the results that you actually want. During the sketching process, you can also zoom in and out the image, so you can draw specific details as much as you want. So that's why you see that my image is moving back and forth, and you can also delete some areas that you think you don't need anymore, and also add. But basically what I'm doing right now is using the same brush, which is the pen number 10, and then once I'm ready or I feel like that my image is good enough, then I can move to the next step. Now I'm gonna change the name of the layer. So if I'm creating more than one layer, I know where things are, and I'm gonna call this one sketching. And then I'm gonna create a second layer that is gonna be called fine drawing, which is to create the final sketch that I'm gonna have before I start painting. I'm gonna use pencil number 10, and I'm gonna change the opacity of my sketching to 40%. That way I will have a much better view once I start completing the fine drawing. Here it's different compared to my reference, because I made my hair to look more beautiful. She usually has her hair always like this, straight and straight. So you can improve things if you want to do a selfie. And also I'm not adding anything related to the background because I want to focus the illustration on the person specific.
everything is very hard to sketch. You don't see those marks that we used to see before, because that was my reference just to do and finalize the drawing, the drawing part. Now I can start painting. To paint, I can use the same brush if I want. And we're going to start with the main color for everything. And one thing that is very important in order to make it look like the image that I have as a reference is to use the same colors that you can see on the picture. And I will show you how to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the pen, get a new layer, and then so we are keeping separate the fine color from local color, and also to keep the black lines that I have in my image. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this pen. It doesn't have a number, but for this Photoshop version, but you can select any type of pen that you would like. For this one, I can either use this one or this one, and then I'm just gonna change the size to 60 here. To 60, let's do it here. And the hardness to 30%. Okay, so now I need to I'm gonna start. I usually start with the skin color, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select kind of like a color that looks more even. And then I'm gonna put it here, and then I'm gonna select the brush. So here's the only steps that I already follow, and then I can start painting here. So if you notice that the color is too dark, for example, we can just go ahead and select different area that looks more like the black and red one. Let's see. Go back here and select this one right here. I think this one is better. Mostly because I want to be able to make different changes between different areas. Which is going to help me to make it look more like her. At the end, this illustration is going to be like a cartoon, but we still want it to look similar to her. Okay, so I'm looking here, and I'm going to fast forward this a little bit, just to save some time, because I still have a long way to go. We are going to use the eyedropper tool pretty much for the entire time that we are painting the illustration.
So keep in mind that you need that tool in order to get the colors exactly the same, or at least closer to the image that you are using as a reference. And again, I have to go fast forward because painting also takes a little bit of time. We are doing the base color right now, which is kind of like a plain color, but later we are gonna add some shadows and highlights to make the image looks more kind of like a, not real, because it's still an illustration, but something more similar. I don't know if more similar is the right way to say it, but something looking better comparing to the picture that we have. I just want to mention that for this particular illustration, you can see that my illustration has long hair instead, and a couple things a little bit different, but it's because you have the chance to make your illustration a little bit different or better if you want, depending on your picture that you have as a reference. Okay, you can see here that every time I apply color to a different section, I use the eyedropper tool again. And don't worry if you are using one color and it's touching the next area, because once you add the next color, then that solves that issue. I wish I was able to have this part, not just the drawing but the painting part, in a slow mode, but it definitely takes a long time to get it done. So I may kind of create a new video later just for drawing, and then another one just for painting, so I can show you by detail, step by step, how you get these results. If you will be interested, please leave a comment below and I will be happy to work on that, so I can show you every single step. So I'm gonna continue painting and adding some music as background, so the final part of painting is not boring. And then I will show you how to place the images on Design Space, and let's keep painting. Adding some shadows to one of the sections or the sides of the body, so that gives some dimension and a different look to the illustration. So one side is lighter than the other one, because if you see the picture, it's like the body is in front of the window, so one side is darker than the other one. I'm also adding some shadows to the face, the hands, so the image can look a little bit different, and also some dimensions to around the eyes, and painting the lips with a different color, because you know, you can
As I said before, you can change colors for your illustration if you want to. And I'm also kind of like adjusting the lips because I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm not 100% happy about the lips comparing to the image that I have as a reference, so I'm making some changes. So you can go back to your fine drawing and then remove the black lines and then make adjustments if you want. So that means that once your illustrations are done and you're painting, that doesn't mean that you cannot go back and do some adjustments, add or remove something from your fine drawing. And that's the beauty of having to work with layers, because you can work with those, go back and forth and do things like changing the shape of the eyes, or improving the eyebrows, or changing the lips, or you will see later that I also changed the mouth a little bit to make it look different. And the last step for painting is adding some highlights, and that's up to you. What do you want to do in order to make your image look a little bit better? So I'm adding some highlights. Usually what you do is you use a lighter color in order to get that effect, and you also use a blender. I will show a little bit about that when we are painting on Krita later on this video. What you do basically with the highlights and blender is that you add a lighter color on top of the previous color that you have, and then use a blender brush to get that effect. This also is helpful when you are trying to get kind of shiny effects, so that way the image looks a little bit more professional.
And now that my illustration is ready, I can go ahead and save it. So you select the option export and then quick export as PNG, because that's the format that we need to be able to use this image on Design Space if we want to. That way the background will be transparent. And I'm saving it as in my folder called PNG images. Now it's time to paint on Krita. Okay, I'm not gonna draw the image again because I already have one that I saved previously before I started painting, which is this one. So I'm just gonna open a new file and open the images. You also need to follow the same steps to create a new canvas as we did in Photoshop, and also add the image that we need as a reference here. And we are gonna use the eyedropper tool once again. To paint on Krita, I'm gonna be using the brush that is called Marker Cheiss Smooth, and the marker details, and also the one that is called Blender Blur. Those are the brushes that I use the most. But as I mentioned before, you can use any brush that you feel that gives you best results for your illustration. I spent a little bit extra time kind of painting the colors in the eyes, sorry, in a different way. So you can see here that they have a little bit of additional colors compared to the one in Photoshop that
I did it this way here, so you can see that you can play with all the brushes as much as you want, and you can add additional details to your illustration. If you have any questions about the entire process, please feel free to leave your comments below, and I will be happy to answer your questions. Also, if there are some tricks that you would like to share, I will be happy to hear that as well.
Now that the base color is complete, I'm gonna start adding the highlights using the Blender Basic or Blender Blur brush. You can see that I'm using a lighter color on top first, using the marker brush, and then I use the Blender Blur. And now I just have to upload the images on Design Space as a normal image that you have, and you will see here that I'm uploading both, the one that I created on Photoshop and the one I created on Krita, and the process is pretty much the same. And you can see the difference. I think I like both images. The end is up to you which one do you want to use. I spent a little bit more time on the one on Krita because kind of wanted to show you how the Blender brush works there. But you will see here that they are both nice pictures as illustrations. You can see here also that when I insert both pictures, they are pretty big. It's because I used the 300 pixels for both of them. That way, so depending the use that you wanna have, they will be still good, and the pixels are gonna still be good, so the image is not gonna get some distortion. Leave a comment and tell me which one do you like the most. Now, finally, it's time to announce a giveaway that I have for you.